Welcome back to another casted game, and this time we've got two Conqueror level players that are going to be showing us the way it is done. On the west side we have Mikadaman in the purple as the Japanese, and on the east side we have MSNDK in the blue as the Ayyubids. And while we are getting this game set up, I just want to say how much I absolutely love this Japanese biome. I just think it looks amazing with all of the details and how amazing all of the models are. It's just, it's really fun casting it just because everything looks so pretty. But if we have a look, MSN is going for the classic Ayyubid start, and Mikadaman is going for the early Tawara because it gives you that buff to your berry gathering and your movement speed. So it's the equivalent of a mini wheelbarrow. So they don't have wheelbarrow, they have something else. And we also have the forge, which is the mining camp, and the blacksmith with that unique +1 melee attack. So the Japanese have lots of things in their arsenal to do something very interesting. And if we have a look at the scouting path, we can have a little chat about the matchup. So both of these civilizations are pretty famous for doing fast castles, because the Japanese tend to go for the Conqueror storehouse and then also the Yoroshiros from the landmark, which gives you either increased production speed on your production buildings, you can get faster villager production from your TC, passive gold, passive food. They're really flexible, so a lot of players will do that because it gives you a massive boost. Whereas if we head over to our Ayyubid player, then who's being super aggressive with his scouting here, they will also tend to do fast castle because they get really big, massive power spikes every time they age up. So it's usually something they like to do. And this is really interesting. So if we see this scouting path, because both of these civs are on berries, they've been able to go much further out. But if we have a look, he's cut across and right down the bottom and round. And if we go back to Mikadaman's vision, then we can see here that actually he's managed to get these, but unfortunately MSN has really scooped in and got all of these around here, so he's going to do way better on the food here, which is actually something that's really going to work out quite well for MSN, because he's going to be able to do a potential fast castle much more easily with that safe food around his TC. So if we take a look, because the age ups don't show up on the caster thing, and I'm definitely not going to tell you that I've tried to cast Ayyubid games and missed the age up because it doesn't show up. Who would do that? That's not professional at all. This time we're going for the logistics. Interesting. So we've got two dervishes that have increased healing. So I wonder what the play is here. You don't often see this in the feudal age, so I'm sure we've got some shenanigans underway. And for Mikadaman, we've got the Conqueror storehouse, which is the classic universal drop-off point, and the free farms that spawn all the way around it. I'm not particularly sure of this position because the TC is actually going to block a couple of the farms that would spawn on this corner, and you've got a house there that's blocking this one, so maybe I would have gone for it potentially down here with a little wall to get it in, and you could always push the deer into it for some extra food, or even just being super safe, a little back Conqueror like you have a Bakken for the HRE. So putting it here so it's safe. It might not be the most effective for the wood line, but at least those farms aren't going to get raided, whereas here it's very open and exposed because it's directly across from where his opponent is. So we'll have to see how that goes. So the age up's going to be coming through, and we'll have to see what's going on. We've got 4 on gold, so potentially this could be the standard fast castle play, but we do have quite a few on wood, and Ayyubids are going to be making sure that they get loads of buildings so that they can get their golden age, because that gives them the increased gather rates and other bonuses that they get for that. So it's something that they definitely like to build lots of buildings and making sure they're all within the aura of the House of Wisdom. So that's why you tend to see Ayyubids and Abbasid building lots of extra buildings. And so just about to age up now, and we can see the dervishes coming out and a stables, so we're going to be seeing some aggro. Interesting. Not usually what you would see. Normally you get those free camels and just do a little pokey poke into castles, so always nice to see something different. And I just absolutely love these dervishes. If you watch one of my other games, I actually mentioned that you could pick up 2 relics with the dervishes. I am absolutely wrong. I just thought that the 2 baskets were to hold 1 relic in each because they can sleep nicely in there. It's just the model that you can only pick up 1. Obviously, it'd be completely broken if they can run around and just hoover them all up. But, you know, it's nice to dream. And we see a Desert Raider in now, so with these dervishes are going to be able to do some real damage. And if you didn't know, while we're watching the setup here, the age up wings, there's 2 for each wing, and the difference you can see is actually when you get this little golden star. So if we shift around, you can see it there. That should actually tell you. I still haven't memorized all 8 of them and what the symbols mean, but you know, you can do that, and it's always nice to know what you can do. So if we head over here, there's a tower going up, so it looks like Mikadaman might be trying to go for a castle age, and he's got quite a lot of gold in the bank, and usually a tower here is pretty good. I might have potentially put it on the other side because it's facing his opponent. That maybe would have been a bit more protective, and as Japanese get the passive stone from gathering gold, you can always get the arrow slits, so often you'll see Japanese players getting 2. But there's an Onabageisha in queue, but there's no barracks. What is happening? Hey, what are you doing up here? We've got a proxy barracks, 2 proxy barracks. Wow, it's not often that you see a proxy barracks at the Conqueror level, but I absolutely love it. These type of shenanigans are exactly why I love watching this game. And so now this is really interesting as well, while we move away from the hidden shenanigans that Mikadaman's got in the background. This Desert Raider now is in the archery mode, and it's going to be able to shoot, and although it's maybe can't quite get in range when they're mining, the dervishes are going to be able to sit here and just heal it up, so he can be way more aggressive jumping in, and as long as he doesn't lose all of his health, then he's going to be able to go back in and do loads of damage. So see here, taken tons of damage and very quickly healed up to maximum, and he's going to be able to go in and do some more. So this is going to be really, really good, and actually something I think we should really see more of on the ladder of people using these dervishes early to do way more effective raiding. Like the Camel Kings, if you like, the with their frankincense and myrrh. If we head over to Proxy Town in the north, we've got a load of Onabageisha massing up now, and there's a villager somewhere here chilling, being guarded by the Onabageisha. So hopefully we're going to see these do a little push. But if we have a look here, we're already aging up, and we're going for the growth wing, which I think is a really clever one because you get those instant 8 villagers, and you get all of the extra food for your orchards. Now this is, I think, is a slight misplay here. What you normally see people doing is gathering the majority of the berry bush, because you've got 250, leaving, I don't know, at least 1, it doesn't matter how many, and moving across the berry patches, and then when you get this age up, all 5 of those get an extra 100, so you get the absolute most from it. But obviously he's busy microing his camels and his dervishes over here to do as much damage to these villagers and idle as possible. So but it looks like we've got 4 here, so maybe he's thinking there's a fast castle coming. Oh wow, we've got even more, so we've got 6 over here, so it looks like it's a fast castle, but actually we know better. The Onabageisha up here with the triple proxy barracks. Absolutely love this kind of stuff. So we've got 11 so far and 2 samurai, and they're right by the woodline. So if we have a look at MSN's vision, he can't see them coming. So we're going to stick with this and see what happens, because he's just aged up with those extra 8 villagers. It's coming in now. There we go. So they're all going to pop out. But, oh no, MSN doesn't have the pop space. You need to have the full 8 before they'll jump out. And there we go, they've suddenly come up. But, oh, here we go. Yeah, boy. So we see these Onabageisha, and look at them doing that work. So they're doing a load of damage and going to be chasing around. And this mosque is a really good play to do instantly in castle, because you can get those relics. But look at the damage these guys are doing. And the samurai is being slightly protected with their deflective armor there from the TC. So I think this might be a little bit too aggressive, but you know, you've got to love the aggression here and the play, because look at this. They're running around and doing tons of damage. So unfortunately the Ayyubids do take extra damage, and they're weak to range because they don't have any ranged armor. So running around under TC fire like this isn't really ideal. And those dervishes were out guarding the relics, so now they're coming home, and that's the eco's going to get boosted. So I guarantee if we stop admiring Mikadaman's proxy shenanigans, we should see we've got 2 relics in the bag. So we've got one here, which will be dropping off in the mosque, and then we should be seeing another one that's coming over from this backside. So he's grabbed the far ones, which is really nice from MSN there. So now these military units still coming out and still fighting under the TC. I think potentially this is pushing it a little bit too far, and running across to the villagers there, maybe rather than running out to the front, I think is a little bit too much. But look at that, even with the healing they're still going to be able to take some out. So 19 down now. I think this is really, really great. And so if we have a look, there's still a couple of units around here at the top, but no more in production. So I think we might be seeing a castle age coming through at some point, and there we go, it's being cleaned up. So unfortunately now he's going to have to capitalize on the damage that he's done and taking out the 8 villagers from that age up to really make sure that he gets that in. And he's gone for the second wheelbarrow upgrade, the Takazaiku. So again, those berries are going to be doing even better for him, but now we've got a castle against feudal, so we've got to really watch out for some of these camel lancers, because they could do some serious damage. But it looks like, there we go, so we've got 3 camel lancers already, and they're running around trying to make sure that this proxy base isn't doing any more damage. And if we have a look, he has scouted it out now, so I don't think this is going to be able to do much more in terms of the surprise, unless Mikadaman is really quite lucky. So the scout here is checking ready for these, and here we go. So we've got loads on gold, trying to get the age up as quickly as we can, but those lancers are going to do some serious damage. And even with that, the fire from the outpost there, he's going to be able to run in and do loads because of those castle upgrades. These heavy units are just going to be able to do some pumping. And if we go here, we've got a couple more on Bagasha pushing off the gold. I really like this idle time here. I probably would try and keep them outside the TC range, just to make sure, because here you could basically keep them off the gold without running in, and they'd be able to survive a little bit longer. Oh, there we go, a little distractionary Wololo, and he's already got 4, and this one, so waiting for a mosque to go into, and I think the other one is now getting sacred sites, while the camel lancers are running around and starting to do damage. So now the villager lead that he had from killing those is starting to decrease, and it's idling all of his economy, and the TC fire is basically doing nothing now. So this is a real problem, and we need to be getting some spears out, which we can see in queue, but hopefully they're not from the proxy base, because they're going to have a long way to go. And we can see some blue up here, which means even if they pop out from up here, they're not going to be able to get down to his base to defend. So the only problem with a really awesome proxy base is it's not in your actual base to protect your villagers. So we've got the floating gate coming up, which produces those Yorishiro, and hopefully this is going to be able to give Mikadaman a little push now, because if we head over to the eco, it's looking like it's slightly in MSN's favour now. He's getting his food set up, and he's also getting the sacred sites, and he's got all those relics, so that gold is going to be doing some work. But here, those lancers are in, and it's doing some serious damage now on the scout, trying to distract. But I think if we see here the fighting going on, really stopping this age up, and if they don't get to castle age, these lancers are just going to continue to cause trouble. And look at that, circling around really nicely there, microing them individually so you can get the villagers on the age up. And unfortunately that's it. So Proxy Town didn't really pay off, but you've got to admire his audacity, his cheekiness. It's something that I love to see, and I definitely want to give a go on the ladder myself. Here we go, and we're back now just before the end of the game to review the final state of play, and obviously we've got to start in Proxy Town. So while we can see those camels in slow motion trying to torch down those barracks, so we'll give it a pause now. And so this one was short and sweet. I would say just like me, but I am 6 foot, so not exactly short. But I think this was a really fun game, and could definitely be something a bit off meta to have a go of on the ladder. So if we have a little look at the Mikadaman's play, having these proxy barracks here I think was really nice, and actually did a surprising amount of damage because it was so close and just out of vision range. All of these villagers on the wood line were able to really get caught out. So 21 villagers going down. It happened just after Castle Age, which is usually when you would push in because you know they're not producing units. Maybe if it was a little bit earlier it could have done some slightly different, but I think pushing in here and doing these and then maybe not running around the TC, maintaining those units could have been really good. And I think Mikadaman did a really good job of remacroing to try and get to castle. If that had been maybe just slightly earlier before these Camel Lancers have been running around idling all of his eco, that's really, I think, what put a spanner in the works. And also the fact that your proxy base, you can't get your units home, which obviously is a problem when you've got units knocking on your proxy base door. But I think the defensive tower, I think, was really clever. It's usually what Japanese players do. Often you will see 2 because you get that passive stone. You can chuck 2 down and then sort of double emplacements, and then you can basically defend the whole thing, but the 1 does the good job. I would probably say that maybe here just slightly forward would have been slightly better, and then it would actually be directly where he is. It's only making a small difference to one side or the other, but I quite like it there, and maybe it would have just about reached the wood line with the arrow slits that he got in. I like the farms around here, and maybe getting the daimyo, which was almost enough. 2 more stone and then he'd be there. But I think maybe the positioning in a slightly safer place. Unfortunately, the spawn for Mikadaman wasn't really that good for maybe some defensive walls, because they're quite long walls and they don't really secure any resources, and even on this side it's basically completely open, so maybe you could have done a wall here across the front, and potentially a really big one here across to this wood line and across there, but you're basically doing huge walls, so it's not really going to work. Whereas if we look at MSN's side, just a little wall there and that actually stops raiding, but as far as he knew there were no raiding units, so it makes sense there's no walls there. But MSN on the other hand, even with that 21 villager kills there, he's managed to grab all of those relics, and so when he was aging up to castle he was standing on those relics with the dervishes. So I really find this play interesting, of having the dervishes in feudal with a couple of camel raiders, even just 1, and then those it's a bit like HRE, you can plop the religious units on the relics, and the second you hit castle you can pick them up and you can run away. I think that's really, really nice, and so getting these 4 relics just means a massive difference to the gold income. So we've got 5 there, but we've got a huge amount, so now we can start pumping those castle units and getting all the upgrades and stuff like that. So I think this is really nice, and because he got all of those extra sheep as well from that really good scouting at the beginning, he's actually only just moving out onto berries. So if he'd have exhausted these food sources, and maybe if those Honor Bagatia and stuff had just pushed him off the berries here and pushed him off the gold without getting in TC range, he might have been forced to try and go out for like the ones at the back here, or that maybe would have forced a farm transition. But with the units that MSN had, that's really, really tricky, and the extra healing those dervishes get is surprisingly strong, and I think that's definitely something some Ayyubid players should take note of and make use of with their camels and stuff like that. But yeah, a really interesting game. I love seeing stuff that isn't just the standard, and I hope you've enjoyed this little review at the end of a Platinum player telling the Conqueror players what they could do. But these guys played fantastically well, and I hope you've enjoyed it. But have a good day whatever you're doing, and I will see you in the next one.